Like all through the last week and a half, what I'm going to minister to you just has been stirring up inside of me. Didn't know it was for y'all. Thought it was just, God speaking and me trying to listen. And many of you know that I have a business. I'm a coach, and so I coach business leaders, entrepreneurs. And like even in my business masterminds, the thing I'm going to talk to you about today been coming up. Some of them aren't saved yet. They don't know. It's fun. And there's a sermon I preached years ago, like 10 years ago, and we called it Staycation. Did anybody have the joy of having a staycation this summer rather than a vacation? The term actually became popular when like the economy crashed, 2007, 8, 9, and everybody's like, I ain't got no money, so I'm gonna have a staycation. I think we made the term up to make ourselves feel better because I was reading about this. There was a group that came out and they listed staycation on their list of banished words because they said that vacation does not necessarily require travel, and so there does not need to be a separate word, so they banished staycation. The problem with that is none of us agree, right? Like, how many of you, when you do vacation, you'd like to get as far away as you can afford? Can I get an amen? Anybody? Yeah. You want to do stuff, you want to get away. But staycation, if you got to do that, you got to do that. But it's not the first plan. It's plan B, right? So today I really want to I'm going to expand that. I'm going to try and bring some redefinition to staycation because we ain't talking about getting away for vacation. We're talking about a staycation for our souls. Because how many of you know that a change of location is never enough to change your soul, your spirit, what's going on the inside of you? And even the idea of vacation, even a staycation, there's this underlying thing about I want to escape reality. Some of you have said it. Some of you have posted it. I just need a break. I just need to get away. If I could just get my feet in the sand or on a mountain. And we build it up as like, okay, if I can just get that, then everything's going to be okay. But some of you, how many of you actually got like vacation? You traveled a little bit? And then we had some people that got staycation this summer. I mean, I ain't got to prove myself because some of you right now, you got away and it was amazing and you did all the things and you came back depleted, exhausted, needing a vacation from your vacation. Can I get a name? Yeah. Because if you keep elevating, okay, I'm going to get away and that's going to fix it all, we'll be disappointed. Because we can't live our lives by addressing just what's on the outside. We got to address what's going on the inside. And there's a scripture in Matthew. I want to read this statement. We can live 365 days a year with a refreshed, peaceful, joyful, satisfied soul. You don't have to run away. You don't have to escape reality to get that. But if you live with the mentality of I'm going to escape and get away, and that's going to make it our, no. We got to embrace the fullness of life. Anybody know what John 10:10 says? The thief comes but Jesus said, but I've come to give and life abundantly. Does anybody think Jesus meant what he said? Like he wants you to live abundant life. Not just getting by life, not survival life. He does not want you to live a life that you want to escape from. I can tell I'm going to have to preach this myself. I might not get as much help. So look at somebody say, embrace life. Matthew 11, 29 to 30. And I want to pull it up real quick. Turn to Matthew 11. So in the NIV, this is what it reads. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle. This is red letters, by the way. This is Jesus talking. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, I talked weeks ago about how the different translations, like the Message and the Passion, are not actually even translations, they are paraphrases. And so sometimes we have to be careful. So the NIV, there's like a spectrum, like least accurate because it's maintaining the spirit, but it's all modern vernacular. It's the least close to the original Greek and Hebrew and Aramaic, least accurate translation. Then you got some in the middle, like the NIV, what I just read, that maintains the spirit of the text. So it's not word for word, but it's maintaining a more tightly translated version of it. And then you have like New King James Version, NRSV, that are literally word for word. This is important because, and by the way, the King James Version, like on the spectrum, it is not over here the most accurate word for word. There's actually 2 or 3 that are more accurate word for word. All my KJV people. I mean, you're going to toe the line, like there needs to be education. So the reason I'm bringing that up again is just to say I'm going to preach from the Message, and this is one of those times when the Message translation brings life and vibrancy, and the language like really keeps the spirit of the text of what I just read to you. And this is what Jesus said. This is the Message. Matthew 11, verse 29, it says, are you tired, worn out? We're going to move slow here. I love the Bible. Does anybody else love the Bible? Woo! Are you tired and worn out? Has anybody noticed how normal it is? We have completely normalized tired and worn out. Like in our society, it is abnormal. Like if you ask somebody, you walk up and say, hey, how you doing? And they're like, I'm excited. I'm alive. I'm energetic. Man, I feel purpose every time I wake up. When I wake up, I jump out of bed and I'm ready to make a difference today. I feel good. How do you feel? Exactly. Like one of 2 things. One, you think they're being sarcastic because you ain't never met anybody that actually talks like that lives like that, right? Nicole's like, you're used to this, right? Like, are you okay? Like when people meet me, they're like, yeah, when I first met you, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this story. You were a little much for me. Or when they first meet, they think, they're like, I thought you were totally fake and like hypey. Like we thought that was like a show. I actually live this way. Woo! I mean, the simplicity of somebody asking me how I am and my word that I usually respond with, how are you? Outstanding. The number of times I'm like, people are like, really? So one, you think they're being sarcastic because you never met anybody. Or 2, if they're being serious, you definitely think they got a heap load of money in the bank. They don't have to work, and they got 0 kids. All the parents, I see you. Because you can't be living like, are you tired and worn out? Where's the parents with the babies in the room? Yep. Yep. You're sitting together because like it's support. I see that, yes. Like I got you. You can sleep on my shoulder during Pastor Mark's message. But we have normalized tired and worn out. But Jesus is speaking to that because Jesus says, you know what? I got a better plan for you. I don't want you to live there. I don't want you to live tired and worn out. I don't want you to be settling for that. Verse goes on and it says, are you burned out on religion? Now, I mean, I know you got some Bethel folk that you love Jesus, like Travis getting up here. Didn't he crush that, by the way? Like, there's nothing, like, one of my favorite quotes of all time. There's nothing more powerful, or wait, hold on. There's nothing more undeniable than the power of a transformed life. Exhibit A, Exhibit B. You can tell me God ain't real. You can tell me God can't change a person's life. But 19 years of watching it, he's just one example, right? I remember when Caleb stood up here, the first time he ever stood up here and he was 16 years old and did a spoken word. He was like, he wasn't real timid. Where's he at, by the way? Where's he? There he is. You weren't, you got up and you nailed that thing. But how many years ago was that, Caleb? 8 years ago? Watched him grow a little bit. That anointing increase on his life. Like, there's nothing more undeniable than the power of a transformed life that can take a quiet, introverted, he's still introverted, and turn him into this powerhouse anointed leader, right? That's Jesus. You can try to convince me otherwise, but I got proof, I got evidence. Are you worn out on religion? That's what we're talking about here. Well, Jesus is talking in a particular way. Like, maybe he's not. I want to lean into it in a particular way. Because some of you are worn out on religion because you did all the things that they said to do, the collective they, the church, your parents, devotionals, the YouTuber. You did all the things they said to do. You went to church, you tithed, you served, you opened the door for senior citizens, and you don't cuss too much or yell at your kids too much. And you're like, I did all the things. Why isn't my life perfect now? Why? I did all the things the religion told me to do, but it ain't work. I'm burned out. I ain't going to serve another day. I'm not going to give another penny because I did all the things and it didn't work. Are you tired? Are you burned out? Are you worn out? Here's the shift. All those things are external, right? But Jesus says you got to make a shift. So again, red letters. This is Jesus talking. Hey, are you tired? Are you burned out? Are you worn out? I see you. I hear you. I see how hard life is. I see it. I got solutions for you. Jesus says, listen, you have to change from religion to relationship. You got to make a shift from doing all the things to knowing a person. Listen to what he says. Oh, I love this. Come to me, Jesus says. Get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Everybody say real rest. Real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Yes. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Hey, Zach, come here. Come here, Zach. Didn't Zach preach a word last week? Didn't he do great? Way to go. That was a good word. Here, turn around. So many of us feel like, you look good. Did he look nervous? Is that why y'all are laughing? Because me standing behind him? Okay. Many of us feel like living as a Christian, as a believer in Jesus, a follower of Christ. We've grown up in environments and we've heard things told us of all the things we have to do, and it is a long list, right? And so it's we feel this weight of heaviness, and we're like, man, I want to be a Christian. I want to live for God. I want to teach my kids things, but it's like we're heavy. It feels so heavy, and it's like pushing us down, right? He's like rock solid. He didn't move. Thank you for the concession there, Zach. And then it would be like, because Zach has got this awesome collection of shoes. I don't know if y'all noticed. But it'd be like, hey, Zach, can I have that pair? What size shoes is that? 12 and a half. I mean, I'm a 13. I might be able to squeeze into that, actually. My illustration just broke down, but I got some shoes. No. It would be like me saying, give me your shoes and let me put them on. That's going to hurt, right? It's ill-fitting. It don't fit me. The shoes fit him. They don't fit me. And some of you have been told, hey, you got to do this and that, and you're like, well, that don't fit me. It feels heavy. It's like David when he put on Saul's armor. It was heavy. It didn't fit him. And what did David say? Get this off me. And what did he have? He had a sling and a stone, and he had God on the inside of him. And so my hope today is that like we're going to remove the heaviness and like you're not going to try and put on stuff that's not you. You're going to put on what God has designed you for. Thank you, Zach. But give it up for Zach. So when we get this right and we shift from religion to relationship, Jesus is telling us, listen, get away with me. Come to me. You ain't got to go nowhere. You don't have to go there. You don't have to go there. And I'm going to expand this because I think this is a very, very pertinent, and I think part of why God had me bring this message. It's not a change. You know what? Hold on. I'll just read the point. Here's your staycation tip number 1. Your soul needs to get away with a person, not get away to another place. Your soul needs to get away with a person, not get away to another place. And here's where I want to expand it. You need to get away with a person. You need to come to Jesus. You don't need to get away to another place. Listen, you don't need to get into another circumstance. A change of location and a change of circumstance is not the solution for the turmoil and chaos going on the inside of you. There is a solution, and his name is what? Jesus. But we believe the lie that society feeds us. And I mean, just look at marketing, right? Look at social media. And we're fed this lie constantly. I need their life. I need their stuff. I need the next great whatever it is as a means to satisfy what is going on the inside. And Jesus sent me here today to say, hey, none of that's what you need. You need the person of Jesus. You know that verse that said, get away with me and you'll recover your life. I know a lot of people, they feel like they've lost their life. They've lost purpose. They've lost a marriage. They've lost hope. They've lost the resources. They've through addiction, they've lost. And the solution isn't to get it all back. Hold on. If you're in this room and you feel like you've lost a lot, or some things that you really want back, hear me. The solution isn't to get it back. The solution is Jesus. You need to get away to a person, not to get away to another place or another set of circumstance. If you want to recover your life, you recover your life in Jesus, not in circumstances. It's an inside job. And so we've got to shift our mentality from, I need the thing, I need this to change, I need that to change, I need to get a break, I need my person to get elected. Whoop, now we went there, didn't we? Oh my goodness, an election is not enough to change your soul. In fact, if you don't do what I'm talking about, it might change your soul and you're going to be in trouble. Because if you thought it was going to be a solution, you're in trouble. You got to be so rock solid on the inside that nothing out there can shake you. Jesus is the solution. Jesus is the one that can bring peace and refreshing and joy, that can restore your hope when it feels hopeless, that can give you wisdom about how to move forward when you don't have a clue over what you should do. Jesus is the solution. Because here's the thing, if the circumstances change, if your bank account changes, if you have a good night with your family or with your kids, that is temporary relief. Temporary. It's only temporary. But if you change what's going on the inside of your soul and spirit, then that change goes with you anywhere and everywhere you go. That change goes with you no matter what circumstances come your way. It's like you've got to create a structure and a belief system that Jesus is enough. Because when He's enough, all of a sudden how we interact with the circumstances around us, they start to change. I'm going to keep pushing in. Jesus, or the challenge I would give you is to choose to get away with Jesus consistently. I'm going to get practical on that. Verse 29, I read it, but it says, I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me, work with me, watch how I do it. Real rest, I feel like, is kind of a lost thing in our society. Listen, you are a spirit, you possess a soul. Your spirit is your communion with God, your consciousness of God, your intuition of God, your spirit. Your soul is your mind, will, and emotions. And then your body is flesh, blood, and bones. So you are a spirit, you possess a soul, and you live in a body. So therefore, you have to address all three parts of your being. And that's why vacation is good, right? Like, can I get in it? Come on, amen me, come on. Like, taking a break is good. There's a reason that on the seventh day, God rested. Because your physical body has limited capacity. And so it is the temple of the Holy Spirit. But until you get to heaven and you get a new body and a new, you got to take care of this thing. So physical rest is good and it is necessary. That's why our pastors are on a little mini sabbatical, right? They're resting their body. And the doctor was, not the doctor, but their mentor was like, hey, y'all aren't allowed to go back yet. You need some rest because you've been doing all the things. And so that physical component was important. But if all they did was physical rest while they're away, are they going to come back replenished and full the way they want to? No. See, they've been doing the soul work. They've been doing the spirit work while they're away. And so they've been addressing spirit, soul, and body just like you and I have to. I'm going to come around to a practical side of that too. But how many of you have gotten away for vacation? So here's how it worked for me. This one's pretty vivid. I'd get away, and it'd take me about 2 or 3 days to unwind. I'm just talking to a couple people, okay. Apparently the people in the front row are the most tired. Yeah, because you're like, I'm going to sit up here because I need it the most. Good job. 2 or 3 days to unwind, and then I'd have 2 or 3, well, usually like 2.5 maybe. Then I'm like, I love this. My feet are in the sand because we're beach people. Some of y'all are mountain people. I'm not against the mountains, but we're beach people. And then when I started thinking about coming back, like it start here for me. That's where it goes. Like here, guts. There were symptoms. We'll just say physical symptoms manifested themselves. We don't need to go into detail. But I was all tore up coming back. Now let me ask you a question. I was working here at the church. Now you've heard us share some stories that we had some dysfunction back then. But you know what that tore up on the inside? had very little to do with my job and everything to do with what was going on inside my soul. Because vacation couldn't fix the chaos on the inside of me. I had to address it myself. And the only way I can do that is learning to get away with Jesus. Learning that Jesus is enough. Learning that I don't need a change of circumstances as much as I need a change in my soul and my spirit that reprioritizes, realigns me. I mean, think about Jesus. Do we read anywhere in the Bible about Jesus taking vacation? I don't think he really took vacation, but what did he do? Especially when things were getting crazy or they were about to get crazy, what would he do? He would get away and he would pray, and he would spend time with the Father, and he would realign himself with the Father. He would get recentered, and then what happened when he came back, guess what? He was still a crazy mess. He's having to disciple the disciples because they're all dense and they didn't get it. He's having to deal with crowds of thousands and thousands of people. His circumstances didn't change, but what was going on the inside of him, because he was fully God and fully man, so don't think he didn't get a little tired in that body of his. Don't think he didn't get a little weary in soul and spirit. What was on the inside of him changed. So, listen, this is a good line. Jesus' go-to getaway was not to escape reality, but to spend time with the Father. What if our go-to getaway was not the weekend? Some of you, because like some of you, it's not vacation, but like you're sitting in church, you're like, this is good, but I'm already kind of feeling because I go back to work and I got deadlines and I got things going on, and like you're already feeling it on a weekly cycle. Don't point at anybody. The solution is not the weekend. The solution is, what's his name? Jesus. He's the one that will give you real rest, that will restore your soul. Which leads to tip number 2. Get away on the inside, and what's happening on the outside matters less and less. Get away on the inside with Jesus, and what's happening on the outside will matter less and less. Verse 30, Jesus said, keep company with me, and you will learn to live freely and lightly. Can you just think for a moment, like participate here with me? Who do you know that has that quality about them? You look at them, you interact with them, and every time you're around them, you're like, man, they're just so free. They're just so light. They got joy, they got peace. You've seen them enough, you've been around them enough, and you're just like, they live freely and lightly. Like, just make a middle list in your head right now. Like, think about it. Like, who's free, who's light, who do you know? Did anybody come up with a list of more than 5 just now in your head? Did anybody have more than 3? Who had 2 people in your head? Who had 1? Half the room, most of the room couldn't even think of 1. Why? Because we've normalized tired and worn out and burned out on religion, and we've acted as if living freely and lightly, living in life more abundantly, life till it overflows, is a pipe dream, and Jesus didn't mean what he was talking about. Listen, if he says you can live freely and lightly, he means it. You don't got to walk around depressed and anxious and worn out and tired. He said you can live freely and lightly. But you got to get away with him. You got to stop fixating on circumstances and start fixating on Jesus. In Hebrews, he says, he's the author and finisher of our faith. You got to keep your eyes on him. Because that change in your circumstances is never going to be enough. And so I love this verse in John. Let me read this. John 16:33 gives, again, Jesus talking. He gives a nice little snapshot here. He said, I have told you these things so that in me Everybody say in me. So he's not talking about circumstances there. He said, I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. How many want more peace in your life? You get peace in Him, not in your circumstances. You get peace in Him, not in your temporary location. You get peace in Him, not through politics. In Him. Everybody say, in me. Peace in me. In this world, you will have, everybody say, trouble. Some of you are believers, and you get surprised when you have hard stuff. God's so cute. I love you. Jesus Himself gave you a guarantee. In this world, you're going to have what? So when stuff happens with your kids, sometimes it feels like, when stuff happens in your finances, sometimes it feels like, when stuff happens in the world at large, sometimes it feels like very big. And Jesus said there's a guarantee you're going to have all that. But in me, take heart, because I have overcome the world. And who's living on the inside of you? And if He's living on the inside of you and He's overcome the world, what's that mean about you? You're an overcomer. See, you don't have to have, the disciples, when Jesus came, they thought Jesus came to take a physical throne in the earth. And Jesus was like, no, I'm going to be thrown, I'm going to take the throne to your heart. I'm going to make sure that you're solid on the inside. Let me give you one last practical thing. This is your tip number 3. We must develop rhythms that create consistent space to nurture body, soul, and spirit. So everybody just say rhythms. If you're taking notes, just write, we need rhythm. About 6-7 years ago, I went to an event. I was doing some what we call deep work around here, working on the inside stuff. And I ended up creating a list of new values. By the way, we have a life transformation experience coming up the end of this month. We still got spots available. So if you're interested in doing some deep work, like this inside stuff, that's what we'll do at this event. And so I did this event 6-7 years ago, and I came up with this whole new list of things that I wanted to experience in my life that were easily checked in the Word, check the box, that's in the Word, but I wasn't fully experiencing it, because again, sometimes we write that off as realistic. But I was like, no, abundant life, this is what abundant life looks like. And one of the things I wrote down is I wanted to experience energy and vitality. How many would like some of that in your life? Energy and vitality, consistent energy and vitality. I want to live with energy and vitality. Woo! And I made some progress on that, but believe it or not, when I, a year and a half later, evaluated, there was 5 or 6 on that list, I was like, that's the one I made the least progress on, because I still had a little bit of this. Anybody familiar with this? The roller coaster? High, low, lows. I'm the only one. Okay, I'll go over here. And through a process, God revealed to me that I only had one side of the coin, that I was neglecting the other part. If I wanted consistent energy and vitality in my life, I can't have that by go. So God taught me that, Mark, in order to have consistent energy and vitality, you must sustainable energy and vitality, you must have consistent rhythm and rest. In order to be able to have sustainable, lasting, the world can't shake it, circumstances can't shake it, energy and vitality, you've got to have consistent rhythm and rest. Now, if I did a survey in this room and asked who has consistent rhythm and rest, I don't think we'd have all the hands going up. We'll just say that. Certainly you two with the new babies, you guys would be like, woo, all about rhythm and rest. Yeah. You got to have rhythm. Now, I prefer rhythm over balance because I think it's a better word, because you can have rhythm and still work 40, 50 hours a week, but you can have rhythm that says I still prioritize what's going on the inside of me. So let me get real practical here with you. You need to have rhythm daily, weekly, monthly. You could add quarterly in there, but yearly, okay? You need rhythms that replenish you daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Now, these rhythms have to address your spirit, soul, and body. Okay? We're talking a little bit more about soul and spirit today, but let's just illustrate this with working out. My brother here, we run into each other at the gym 3 or 4 times a week. We run into each other at the gym. But if I stop seeing him and he only goes to the gym monthly, do you think he's going to get different results? Like that shirt is like all of a sudden going to start fitting your arms. Right now, go ahead, just flex, man. Like this looks good. So like all of a sudden it's going to start fitting instead of like having to stretch around the muscles. Why? Because it's obvious that if I'm going to work out, I got to do it weekly and daily. That monthly or quarterly or yearly is not enough. Like some of y'all made those New Year's resolutions, and by the time January was over, you're like, well, I did my yearly rhythm. How's that working out for you? It's obvious, right? But when it comes to your soul and your spirit, are you going to be able to survive on weekly coming to church every Sunday? If I worked out once a week, it's not enough, is it? If I ate healthy 1 day a week and every other day was like a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson cheat day, how's that going? That's not going to work out, is it? Like, not even a weekly rhythm is enough. And some of you, you're like, hey, I go to church at least 2 times a month. I love you. Is that going to be enough for your soul and your spirit? No. And so we need daily and weekly rhythms that one, keep us aligned with God and His Word, but also replenish and refill us spirit, soul, and body. And I hope maybe that clicks a little bit more for you, because you got to have a way daily and weekly that is filling your soul and your spirit. And that can look a lot of different ways. You can have a devotional that you use. My wife sent me this morning, she does like a YouVersion Bible app. If you don't have the YouVersion Bible app, just download it. It's amazing. But like endless number of Bible reading plans, and you can search topics, you can search week or month-long plans. But she sent me from her reading plan, which she reads every morning, right? She's got a daily rhythm that works for her. And now apparently it's going to work for me because I got to read whatever she sent me. So you can do a hard copy devotional. You can go on a walk in nature. You can walk and pray. You can worship at home. You can have some music, right? Like you can have a whole lot of rhythms that replenish you. But can I give you one that I'm a little biased towards? This is going to shock you guys that have been here. You might consider journaling as a possibility, because for me, that's where God does His best work. But it's the convergence of spiritual discipline, of gratitude, of prayer. And so I'm able to capture in one place what God's speaking and what He's doing, right? But my journal isn't just spiritual. It's also capturing life as it happens. It's processing real-time events, right? It's dreaming. It's setting goals. Like literally when I teach like 7 different purposes of journaling. It doesn't have to just be one thing. Some of you are like, well, if it's not a prayer, then I shouldn't be doing it. No, it's actually okay to have life. But what I realized, and I'll give you this gift, when I started journaling, I did not realize how much I was losing until I started writing it down. And then I would go back and I would read, no joke, a week later. And I'd be like, I totally forgot that already. So this journal expands my capacity of memory. It also, once I get an idea, a creative idea out, and I put it into paper, which by the way, you can do digital, you can do whatever you want, then it expands my capacity for new dreams and ideas, because once God gives it to me, and then I put it down, then it's objective and I can see it here, and then God can give me new ones. that made that one better. And so it expands my capacity for thinking and dreaming. It expands my capacity for gratitude. 95% of my days, the first two words that I write in this journal, thank you. And that was a newer thing. I heard somebody else teach, and I was like, oh, I'm stealing that. That's good. Thank you. And you know what? Some days, when I write thank you, I ain't feeling very grateful. I might have just gotten frustrated with the kid, or somebody left the food out the night before, and I sit down to journal, and I'm like, thank you. And then you know what happens? I just keep writing. And God gives me words, and He helps me see all the things I have to be grateful for. So it expands my capacity for gratitude. It expands my capacity to hear God's voice, because when He says it, I write it down. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone back and I've read a journal entry from a week, a month, a year, 5 years ago, and I'll read it and I'll be like, oh, I need to hear that right now. So it expands my capacity to hear God. I don't care how you do it, but here's my challenge. You got to create consistent time to turn aside and give God your undivided attention daily. Now, that's not like a big heavy burden I want to put on your shoulders like Zach. Because you probably aren't going to hit daily when you start if this is newer to you. Now, some of you Christians, you've been around a long time and you've gotten lazy, and you need to lock it down and get back into daily. I love you. Not as a heavy burden, but because you know you're better when you're locked in with Jesus. When you give Him more time consistently, you're a better husband, a better spouse, a better friend, a better boss, a better employee. When you spend time with Jesus, you get real rest no matter what's going on out there. And so, can I just encourage you to create daily time to turn aside and give God your undivided attention? In the Exodus, I'm not even remember the reference. I think is it chapter 3? Just give you the reference. Yeah, 3. When Moses was out in the desert and he was tending the sheep, and there was a burning bush. And what did Moses do? It says that he turned aside to see what was happening. Notice that God did not speak to Moses until Moses turned aside, until Moses gave him his undivided attention. So I don't care how you do it, whether it's this or something else, but you got to make time every day to turn aside and give Him your undivided attention. Guess what happens when you do that consistently? He speaks, He shows up, He encourages, He corrects, He brings life to you. When you jump forward into Exodus 33, 32, 33, that's when it says that Moses made it his practice to set up a tent of meeting outside the camp. Made it his practice, made it his habit. By the way, it took me like a year and a half to develop this habit. The first journal I had was like 80 pages, and it took like a year and a half. I was a slow learner, okay? So don't jump in and try to get someone else's thing that they're doing. Just start where you're at in 15 minutes a day. Write down or spend time in the Word, like what Katie's doing, like with that devotional. Spend the time, give Him your undivided attention, and He will speak. And what it said about Moses, when he made it his practice, God would speak to him like a friend, face to face, like one friend to another. How many would like that?
Amen, absolutely.
But friendship, relationship, not religion, takes time to develop, right? It takes time, it takes effort, it takes intentionality. So my challenge to you today is renew a commitment to say, I'm going to spend more time with Jesus. If this is new to you, start with 15 minutes a day and say, I'm going to spend 15 minutes a day. Just make a commitment. If you're a believer and you've gotten lazy, it's okay. I've done that too. I'm not judging you. I've done many times, okay? We get lazy. We get comfortable. Anybody notice that when you get lazy and get comfortable, other things start to come up that you're like, why is that happening? Why is that happening? Why did I snap at my wife? I never snap at my wife. Okay, we might have both did that over the weekend. We actually apologized to each other. But the more time we spend with Jesus, the less that happens, right? So make a commitment to spend time. Now, I want to wrap this up with I'm going to pray a couple prayers. If your life feels chaotic, If what's going on the inside feels like a storm, there's turmoil, there's depression, there's hopelessness, there's anger. If what's going on the inside of you discourages you, feels heavy on you, taking a vacation ain't gonna change that. Your person winning in the election ain't gonna change that. Your child becoming perfect and quickly obeying you every single time you ask them to do something, I know that sounds like it would change it, but that ain't gonna change what's going on the inside of you. Apart from Jesus, I got no hope for you. But the good news is, if you'll just get away with Jesus and accept Jesus, He'll change everything. He's enough to transform you. And so I want you to bow your heads. If you're here this morning and there's a storm going on the inside of you, you feel far from God, maybe you got burned out on religion and you stopped going to church, you stopped talking to Jesus, you stopped praying. I don't know what you're burned out, worn out, tired. But right now, you know you are far from God. And you've been looking to circumstances or people or things to change that, maybe a better job or a raise. You've been looking and trying to find a way to get out of what you're in. And the good news is that when you accept Jesus, it might not change your circumstances immediately, although I believe eventually it will. But what changes is everything that's going on. You can have peace in this world. You're going to have trouble. But Jesus said, in me, you can have peace.